Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'm back. I'm not at home, so you have got the toys off the mantelpiece again. Today's reading is going to be a very sort of easy read. It's a bit of a different read. It's basically, I didn't know what to call it, so I'll probably change the thumbnail. Who should you be right now, or the best road? But what I'm trying to do is actually, what part should you be playing in life in these strange times that we are in at the moment? Which may not be strange for everybody, but they are. Yeah, they are a bit strange. What are your best qualities that you can bring forward for everyone else? You know, it could be anything. It could be something very introverted or quiet, and you like a peaceful presence. And you should be out there doing something. Let's just have a look, see what comes up. Basically, I'm playing it by ear, which I play love by ear. You've got number 1, which is a Swedish horse. You have got number 2, which is the troll. And you've got number 3, which is the wooden duck. So if you want to take your choice, and we'll just see how it goes, just a bit of an experiment.
La música de Harry Frog.
Okay. Pile number 1, this has got a really strong feeling of somebody who uses their words to change people. This has got somebody, the words I'm thinking of is blazing a quiet path. I don't know. There's a lady who's got a tarot channel called The Quietest Revolution. I always thought, what a fantastic title for a tarot channel. This has a similar feeling. It's blazing a quiet path. You've got the Jupiter and the 9 of Pentacles here, which to me, the Jupiter, I've been thinking about this morning. I found an old CD because I'm not at home, and I think it was Spearhead. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a very political CD. It's really, really old. And every song is like, I think one of the songs I was listening to was Television Drug of the Nation. And just all that, it's looking, well, a lot of songs at that time were basically just getting on with it. And then this guy was very sort of intense, but very in a, what I would say, a Jupiterian way. He was interested in society as a whole, well, it is a whole, but, and some people just think like that. Some people just can't see outside their everyday, but can still be very kind. My first thought then is, somebody who's very good at detail, somebody who's quite Virgo, and the way that they help people is that they help people very much in everyday things. They can fix things for you. They're the person there when your pipes break or your washing machine belts come off. And they're there to cook you something when somebody's died in your family. And that's the part that they play in the world part of it. No, it's not totally. You play a different part, which is bigger, but has got something to do with speaking your truth and expressing yourself in a way, but in a very sort of, there's an independent feel and a very gently strong feel. Yes. Yeah, okay. You've got feelings here as well. You've got the 9 of Swords here, and you've got the Moon and the 4 of Wands behind. So this has got something to do with your childhood giving you the ingredients, I'm picking this up, the ingredients to be able to function in this world at this time in a particular way. And I don't really know as yet what I'm thinking here, but the Moon has got a lot to do with reflection, it's got a lot to do with fantasy. I did somebody's 2 people's charts the other day, and I can't remember the name of them. They're 2 famous women. There's a big age gap, around about 40-50 years. It is about 40-50 years, I think. Both actresses. And there was an element that bound them together, but the younger one had what I felt was like somebody, she was an actress, obviously, I just said that, who did a lot of, I guess, fantasy play when she was younger. And I think she might have been an only child, I'm not sure. But I had this image of those old-fashioned films where somebody's, you know, putting up a theatre and doing that. And this older lady, with the placements that she had that were more concrete on her, more fantastical placements, was almost pulling that out of her and helping her into the acting world. Not helping her, but supporting her, probably. She probably got there on her own. But there's a feeling here that you probably had... You were stable in yourself or had a stable home, but there were times that you were allowed to think. You were allowed to understand yourself. It wasn't always busy. You know, you could have lived somewhere in the middle of nowhere where you have no choice. Yeah, I know about that. And not always easy. And then this crossed with this gives it, I had to think of everything. Astrology has a chironic feel about it, where there's hurt, but then you've got emotions coming out here, and then you're doing this in quite a dignified way. So you've had a backdrop, I guess, into your childhood or into how you've grown up that's given you the... Not the ingredients, isn't the word? I can't think of the word. I'm thinking of like tools, yeah. The tools to be able to go out in the outside world and understand, because you've looked at yourself and you're quite stable in yourself, but you also know what pain is, to be able to heal others in a way with your words and with your understanding of society and, as a whole, and what is needed in these times at the moment, when things, to be honest, you know, have been all over the place for quite a while, haven't they? You know, people might have got their lives settled, but when we look back in history, we're going to look back at these last 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years maybe, and think, crikey, that was a tipping point, which it really has been. Everything's thrown up into the air, and where it falls is what we've got to pick up and run with. So we're all playing, and I believe, no, I don't believe, I think it's possible that we were all born in these certain times for a certain reason. So then you're coming across, because you've got Jupiter and the Sun here and the Eight of Wands, there's something about the way that you communicate with people that's very straightforward, very open, very loving, very kind, very giving, which is part and parcel of that chironic feeling. You know what it feels like to feel bad. You know what it feels like to feel down the dumps. So all these people, and we're all running around like little rats, trying to scrabble and wonder where we fit in life at the moment. It's almost like you've got a sympathetic eye on people. You've seen it coming, you knew it was coming, so you're there to help people, in which it feels like a bigger way than I'm having this feeling, it reminds me of The Constant Gardener. And there's a bit, and I haven't watched this film, and I talked about it a couple of months back, where he's doing I think it's something to do with fertilizers in food in different countries, and I haven't seen it for like 20 years, and he's doing a talk, and I think it's Ralph Fiennes is doing a talk, and Rachel Weisz gives him some back. She stands up in the audience, which is very Sagittarius, because of basically what they're talking about in the first place, and she says, well, surely you've not noticed this, and he's taken her back and falls in love with her. You've got this feeling of somebody that can fight, but you do it in a very quiet way, and you express yourself very well. Now you've got the Four of Cups down here, which I'm thinking here, my first thoughts are that you can see what's going on, and although you're not going into the I'm going to say conspiracy camp. I don't know what I mean by that, but that's what I thought of. You're not going into hating everything or everybody or every situation, and I'm thinking, so not like friends and family, this is like a different spread today. It's more a case of you understand the whole process unraveling. You could see it coming. You knew this was coming for years. You knew that you know, some people just know, don't they? They could see it, and so when it happened, we're like, yeah, this, you know, what we're going to do with this now. And everybody who is scrabbling from their, what you would probably say, base chakras, they're scrabbling, aren't they? They're trying to regain the power. They're trying, and most of them have started off in their jobs with good hearts, but still, we know we're still functioning, because when our ego's bruised and it hurts, we feel it's the end of us. So that, you know, you see people in like politicians as well, you know, still trying hard, but you know, things are changing and things are being covered up. And most of them are doing the best they can with what they've got. They're not Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to go down that one. Now, the situation surrounding is King of Wands again. So this has got something to do where you need to go out in the outside world and be seen. This isn't somebody, you're not somebody who sits in their bedroom and, unless you're doing the internet. You're doing the internet. Unless you are connecting with people in different places through the internet. So you could be expressing yourself in some way that has a political view, even if you don't state it, to do with words and to do with healing people, that comes from maybe fantasy, as in a good creative imagination. You could be somebody who has very strong political views and puts that into some form with words here. Something that you say probably with conviction, but you do it in such a way that you're not going to get picked up for it, is what you should be doing. And I think you already are doing it here. You're not easily swayed by, you've got an eye on, it's like a timeline, you know, like a, you may have a good, I suppose what I'm thinking here, you may have a good knowledge of history. You may have a good understanding of patterns. And it feels like, because I can see in front of me like a, you know, those tape measures that you measure yourself with. Oh my God, don't do that. And it's almost like I can feel that you're in the centre and you're here and now, but you can see behind and you can see in front. So this Four of Cups is almost like you're retracted slightly from life, but you're still there for people who are going through changes. And there's always a feel of fear in these times as well. Perhaps it's gone a little bit at the moment, but I think people have, because I don't really feel that, to be honest. I don't really feel the fear, but some people do. I don't think you do either. I think that you've got an eye on the bigger picture, and you should be helping people through making things clear, but with an understanding of society and history and what's possibly how it's going to unroll in the future. And that times have to change. You know, when we go down such a track for such a long time, it's not going to be easy. It's like a divorce, isn't it? It's not going to be easy when you've got a history. We've got history of basically not functioning very well for such a long, long time. And then we need somebody like you to be able to put a spin on it without fear. A spin where, you know, you're talking and you're there's like hope in here, and there's independence for people to make their own decisions. So this could be anything, you know, with the World card here and the sort of the creativity behind and the speech here. You could have your own tarot channel. But I'm thinking astrology. You could talk about astrology online, or you could be pushing for people who don't have the same lifestyle that you may have. You know, you could see people who need things because it's unfair, and so you may push to help them in some way. I'm thinking like charity work. I'm thinking of, it could be anything, to be honest. It could be in your local environment. You could push to have more community-based projects. You could be helping people, you know, helping the aged or Meals on Wheels. You could be doing, you could be changing things in lots of different ways, but it's coming from a place of understanding where we've come from, where we need to go, and without fear of what's collapsing at the moment. And you're doing it with your words, and you're doing it with a sense of optimism. So I'm going to leave that there because that's what I've got. And you're doing it from a place where you know what it feels like to feel like you can flounder at times. There's an understanding here, and as I said earlier with that Chiron feel, there's an understanding here, but there's also bravery and strength inside you, and the ability to put what you're thinking into words, which can change people's lives probably, because you're probably very articulate. And I'm thinking with the Queen of Swords there, Jordan Peterson, although I don't know, he loses me sometimes. Too articulate for me. Yeah, just take a big word out there every now and then, please. You know, somebody, I mean, he has, I suppose. It doesn't, you know, not everybody likes him, but, you know, he's very emotional as well, God bless him. But people just put, it doesn't have to be your type of person. There's lots of different people and there's lots of different ways, but where everybody's getting lost and we're all thinking, we've got to fight our corner, when we've all got to fight together in these times, because we're going to basically be putting the paving stones down for everything that's coming next. And with your creativity, with your ability to heal people because you know what it feels like to feel down, with your breadth of vision, I guess, your independent spirit, and your ability to do it without fear and to do it with a bit of verb but be very articulate is much needed, I think. So that's what I've got for you, pile number 1. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to pack up. Thank you very much for joining me. Okay, I'm just going to tell you what I'm thinking off the top of my head, and this isn't formulated in any way whatsoever as yet, but I think it's best to speak and it comes out, and then I can build on it. You're probably thinking, please don't. There's a feeling here that your best times are yet to come. There's a feeling here that you've been born into a certain group or a certain community, that it's not as far reaching as pile number 1. There's something very loving and beautiful and expressive and creative about you. It's almost like, if we're talking about changing times, which I don't know what I really mean about that, but I was just saying in the first spread that we're right in, I do actually know what I mean. I'm actually being very modest there. Let's stop that straight away. It feels as if we're right in the epicenter of, when we look back in history, it's going to be like, those were the times that changed everything. We're right in the centre of things moving into a different era, I guess. And as I was saying, that things behind us haven't worked up until now, which is part and parcel of the way that things just go. And we all feel like we're scrabbling to be seen or heard, or for our pain to be expressed, because if we do swap each lifetime being somebody different, whether it's sex or it doesn't really matter what it is, it's like we all know what it feels like, and it comes to a time where hopefully it's mushy and it's a mess and everything is out on the table to be seen, but it's clearing the way for something new to come. And you've got a feeling here that you're going to be a builder in some way of changing times. It's like the way that you attach to people, the way that you express yourself. It's the way that you almost like, if I've got an image in my mind, which I have, it feels like I'm thinking the number 44 here. And the reason I'm thinking that is, you've got the Empress that is not number 44 at all. But when I'm thinking the builder is that I once did, this may be interesting to you, but maybe not. But there's a book I've got on sound and numerology associated with sound, and not just where the numbers fall. And my husband's and my son's and his father's numbers came to 44, and they're both, well, my son isn't because he's too young, but both architects. So there's something to do with the 4 being stability and being buildings, being solid. But you've got a feeling here that you build beauty. You build, because you've got Venus here and you've got the Karmic Soul Tribe card here. There's a feeling here that you build beauty in the world. That maybe something soft, or very soft and solid with the Queen of Pentacles here, where you know what's needed, and you, in a very sort of feminine way, it doesn't matter if you're a man, in a very feminine way, you nurture situations until they flourish. Does that make sense? No, not yet. But the 4 of Cups down here and the Star card here, to me, I'm thinking of this. To me, again, about like pile number 1, the Star card looks ahead. The 4 of Cups to me isn't really phased, not really interested. You're not really shaken by what's going on. You may not watch the media that much, which is probably the best thing possible, because the Star card makes me feel as well that you knew this was all going to happen. That you knew that life was changing, and you're looking at it from a very detached perspective. You're looking at it from where we're going to be in 20 years time, where we're going to be in 200 years time, and possibly, yeah, it's getting things started. It's almost like, this is going to be strange spreads. I know that all these 3 spreads are going to be strange because I've not thought about it. I'm just going off some thought I had when I was running this morning. Because it's quite interesting, because I do believe that we are in changing times. This has got a feeling that you're like the ferry boat man. You know, it's like people, it's like you almost hold people's hand in a very loving way, and it's not like you haven't got that Jupiterian feel of it being in like a, you know, like a touching lots of people in society through, you know, reaching abroad, but it's more a case with the karmic soul tribe that there's a group of people around you, whether it's just family or whether it's lovers or whether it's, you know, people in work, that you somehow, you smooth the transition for them because you've got an insight that is not easily shaken, quite detached from life in general, I guess. And these like boats coming in, and you know what's coming, and you're making the next part of the journey smooth because you are like the ferryman. So you like the ferryman. Yeah. And you've got stability. There's stability, but there's no fear with you. It's like you come across possibly as the type of person that people run to when they are feeling jagged. There was a lady I know who had this energy when I was really young. I wasn't that young. When I was quite young. And my daughter fell out of the bath, and it was one of those, like, this makes me sound posh, it's not, it's basically a bath he bought me painted. One of those clawfoot baths, and it was on a plinth, so we could get all the workings. We built it so we could get all the workings of the bath underneath the plinth. We, not me, it's a royal we, that one. And my daughter fell out of the bath and banged her head on the floor and snapped her neck forward. It really shook me because I was on my own at the time. And the next day I went to playgroup, and there was a woman there who was a friend who had this energy. Everything was fine, everything's okay. Everything was, you know, expressed very slowly, very calmly, and I couldn't leave her side. I just wanted to sit with her because I was shaken by it all. Which sounds ridiculous because it was the day after, but that's the way I was. And you've got this energy that you make people feel comfortable in who they are. There's something very soothing about you, and there's something about that your part in the world possibly is to play that in the group that you're in. Is to be solid, not easily shaken. But the Queen of Wands here, it's almost like, don't take this as an insult because it could be male, female or any age, but it's like, you know, that grandma that everybody's got that's very stable and very loving, but when there's music and a bit of drink going around, she's always got suspenders out. It's that feeling as well. There's not as if you're yeah, my grandma used to do that. She's always dancing on tables. When you don't know that, do you? You've got the ability, the cool collected ability to look forward and know what's happening, understand what part you've got to play. You've got what is probably your main quality of being able to soothe people and be solid, and people aren't afraid because you just shrug your shoulders and say, well, this happens all the time, and you just don't watch the news, don't do this, don't do that, just keep yourself calm. You know, you've got to center yourself is probably what you would be saying. But there's something about building beauty for other people that could be anything as simple in everyday life with the Empress there in Venus, of going out for a cold walk with somebody's got soup on. It could be somebody who's in trouble and you just sit next to them. You just have that part where you slowly start building the world up from the Empress at the end, a more feminine perspective. And that to me is beauty, connection and nurturing. And your biggest fear probably, with the Star and the Four of Pentacles here, is that isn't established again. Because it goes on everywhere, doesn't it? But you know, in times in the past, we've all been taught here to push forward, and I always think the 90s were very much this. You know, it was like all earning money, all doing this, all doing that. You know, shoulder pads, and who was the biggest rat won the race. But you can play with that with this Queen of Wands. You know what it feels like. You know how to assert yourself. You know how to get what you want, but you don't choose it. This has got a feeling here that it bores you. That you may, you know, if you're older, you may have had that lifestyle. And there's lots of people I know that moved to, I mean, we live in the country now, but people who used to work in London, it was always really busy, and they were just, their life was, you know, work, which is fine when you're in your 20s and 30s maybe, but they came back and they're just trying to plough all their money into big houses that don't cost lots. They just basically chose the easier life. They wanted kids. They just, one man I know in particular, he loves coaching hockey, not hockey, cricket, and he loves it. Could be he was just basically spending like 20 hours a day in work in London before that. So you may have experienced that. So what I'm trying to say here is, to sum this up, pile number 2, there's a feeling here that you've got a very grounded quality about you. There's a feeling here that you've seen it before, done it before, and you're not easily shaken by much. You're very good at sticking up to yourself for yourself if needed, and probably other people, but you are like the ferry boat man, woman, whatever, who chats to people on the boat till they get to the other side, and you make people laugh and smile, and you make people feel nurtured and nourished in some way, that when they get there they're ready to set something else up new. So when we're not here in 100 years time, you will probably have a group of people that you've left behind you that you have really given a very beautiful start to life, and a very beautiful environment to grow up in, or you've been the most beautiful friend, most caring, and I don't put this on you to be caring to everyone, but there's just something about you that touches people, and that's the part that you may have to play in this life, or maybe part of your journey. Not saying it's your only journey, but that could be part of it, because this feels like building something for other people, and it's beautiful. Okay, pile number 2, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much for joining me. Okay, my first thoughts, pile number 3. Are you? Oh no, pile number 3. You're a duck. Excuse me. No, you're broken. Okay, pile number 3. My first thoughts are, you know things that you need to share, that you need to collaborate with other people. Those are my first thoughts here. You've got the Magician and the 6 of Cups behind. There's something quite magical about you that is going to play a part in building maybe a new world. I don't know if it's that exciting. Building something else from afresh that is much needed, with some sort of knowledge that you already have. You've got Virgo and Uranus here, and you end up in the 3 of Pentacles. So to me, I'm thinking that you may be interested in occult studies, whatever that means. But you've got the Sun card there, which makes me think there's quite a light-hearted touch to you, but still an ability to connect with other people and to let other people understand you. And what I'm trying to say is that you may be a teacher in some way. You may be able to teach other people different methods, because the 3 of Pentacles here. I'm thinking of Russell Brand again, because I'm thinking of this mixture between Uranus and the Sun, and how he's changed, I suppose, over the last few years. Because we were going to buy tickets to go and see him, because he's talking not near us playing. We haven't bought them yet, but we're thinking about it. But I mean, he was just a straightforward comedian, wasn't he? But he reminds me a bit of Jim Carrey. I don't know if it's that Uranus feel about him, where he's outgoing, and Jim Carrey's, they're both quite highly strung, I suppose, but they're both very interested in, to a better term, spirituality and the cult. And there's something, the Sun, there's a light-hearted something about them. And there's that attitude about you, or how you come across, which has a lot of knowledge, but there's something maybe funny about you. There may be something very, you may have some sort of comedic qualities here, but that's maybe how you help other people get together or learn. I don't know yet. Let me carry on here. The 3 of Cups crossed with the 7 of Pentacles. To me, that feels, again, it's like group situation. You feel as if you teach people, but you do it in, it's not just like one-to-one. There's a feeling here with the 3 of Cups and the 7 of Pentacles that it's like a slow burning situation where things are built up, but it's to do with being sociable. It's to do with being open. It's to do with a personality that's very centered, but gives out. Difficult, this one. The Temperance card is probably where I'm getting this information, that you have got something to share with people, because you've got Uranus. The Temperance is Sagittarius, Jupiter. And out of all 3 piles, you're going to make a huge impact. You may not have already got the ball totally rolling yet. You have started something, or you have an idea of what you need to do here. But with the Death and the World card here, you may have to shift parts of your life to get that moving. You know what you should be doing. Out of all the piles, this is a really, really strong pile of somebody that knows what they're meant to be doing. There's 2 cards here of balance. One for the hopes and fears and one behind you. So I don't know if that's like mundane things that you're trying to find the balance in your life before you can possibly take on something else. Or whether you provide balance already in a world where you are already engrossed with people. You've got Virgo up here, and you've got the 3 of Cups here and the 3 of Pentacles at the end. So in your work situation anyway, you may communicate really easily with other people. And in doing that, you almost subliminally, well done, forcing's the wrong word, different perspectives to other people. With just the things that you say or the way that you react. This doesn't feel to me, I mean, Uranus can be very direct and can be quite forceful here, but you're coming across as the Queen of Pentacles, but still with this big change here. You know what you're doing. You know that the impression that you leave on people every day changes their perspective, I think. The Death card here and the World card here, and I think that you've only just got started. Okay, this is what I'm getting. It's coming to me slowly because I'm just doing this off the hop. I haven't really got questions formulated, or you've got Virgo here. So I think that in society, you've got the 3 of Pentacles and the 3 of Cups. In society as a whole, you're probably very connected to people. You're probably very good at talking to people. You may already be in a work situation where you've got a network going. But you've got Uranus, you've got Temperance, you've got the Magician card here, which are, to me, an understanding of how you need to build things up. And below the surface, it's like a spiritual insight, I suppose, is what I'm guessing here. You know, you're probably one of those people that, since you were young, have always used your own mind to make decisions, not listen to other people. And you've always questioned authority with Uranus there, probably, or society as well. And so you know who you are deep down. And there's maybe this King of Cups, but you've still got what I guess is going to sound really corny, a love for others, a love for humanity. Because Uranus, if it's just Uranus or Aquarius all the way through, can be tough. You can lose the heart, which is the most important bit. So you've got the, what's the word? Not eyes on the floor, feet on the floor, eyes on the prize. You know what's going on in the world in general, in your world in general. I mean, you've got connections. This sounds like the Godfather, but you've also got insight, and then the change is yet to come. You've started and you're connected. This is like the Godfather. But the Death and the World card, they're really big cards to have with the Magician behind the 6 of Cups. You can connect really well, and it feels to me like you're steady, but you're very open. You're always there for people, but you've got what feels like a big personality with a good understanding of why we're here. And by just connecting and just being there and just carrying on almost in everyday life, that you make the biggest change of all with these Death cards here and this World card here. Because it ends, so these are huge, and then it ends in the 3 of Pentacles, which is really piddly. And then you're coming across as a Virgo over here. So this is why I'm saying that with the insight and the heart and the ability to understand the part that you actually play, but to actually ground it with the Queen of Pentacles down here and the 3 of Pentacles up here, you are the biggest asset of all. And each part had a different feel. The first part felt like you were probably reaching out to groups of people, maybe on the internet or in some way, or connecting. This has got a feeling. And the other one, the second pile, was like almost like a loving person on like a ferry boat who's helping people transition. You've got a pile here that you've already started your work, whatever you're meant to be doing, the way that you connect with people, and that it's going to have a huge impact in a very simple way. because you're all together here, grounded, insight, balance. And, you know, the heart, the Uranus is probably what I guess is knowing what's coming next. And it feels like you've been sent possibly to, I don't know who sent you, to get things moving. This could be anything. This is like a ground worker. You know, you've got the Six of, you could, I can't even put professions or directions on this, because it could be anything, because it's very much involved with people. You make people feel good. You give them you put a light attitude onto things. You make people think that they possibly shine because you shine, and you make people smile. You may not even know they're smiling, but inside you lighten them up. Which I suppose is what enlightenment is, isn't it? You know, it is the Sun card, which you are here. It's lighting people up. We've been through times, you know, if this is true, you know, where basically you feel like you've got to whip yourself to be worthy. But just imagine if that was some lie that we all believed. And we don't have to do that. Just imagine that for a moment. And that we're actually here without hurting other people, just to enjoy ourselves. Just imagine that. What difference would that make? But you may be that type of person, you know, with Uranus next to the Sun, that is going to change people's perspectives and give them a lighter view of why they're here. But you do it not from preaching on top of a soapbox, but you're actually down there doing the dirty, you know, not that dirty, but you're down there helping people. Because this, to me, Seven of Pentacles is doing it bit by bit. You make a huge impression, even though you may not know that you're doing it. Huge impression. Life-changing impression. I don't know whether it's to particular people here or just, you know, it could be just people that you're close to. But this is a feeling that, I'm not going to say it again because I feel like I repeat myself, but this is almost like a Mother Teresa pile, to be honest. Because you're doing it, the Virgo there, you're actually there, and she worked until she was, I don't know, 70, something, if not, you know, she was doing it until she was 70. She wasn't talking about it. She was stuck in it, but she had a calling from a very young age. So she had that ability to know what she came here to do. And the Temperance card and the heart to do it, the Temperance card and the Justice card here, the insight and the need to make life more balanced. So, you know, so she was an example to other people. When you're seeing somebody 70 still working that hard for others who, you know, disadvantaged people, it's like, what am I doing here? Moaning about, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to moan about, but you know what I mean? There's really trivial things that we do moan about, because this has got a huge impact, and it's being with people and being yourself. Okay, I'm going to leave that there, pile number 3. I know it's an unusual spread, but I just felt the need to do that today. I'm going to leave it. Thank you very much for joining me. Bye.